All right. As you can see there in the background, there is a target. Of course, this is another GUARDSMANOM shoots video. Um, Today I'm going to be first emptying my cylinders, which I load with my Osage orange and balsa powder, which is my most powerful powder that I've had to date. Um, Mind you, it's a double bound powder. It's got two binders in it. So necessarily speaking, it is more powerful than a standard black powder. So you don't necessarily want to be doing what I'm doing. Okay, this is for your own safety. Don't do this at home. This is just how I get my powder to be the absolute most powerful it possibly can be. This is actually more powerful than most black powders. This is actually more powerful than most substitute powders. There's a reason why red line doesn't exist anymore, folks. So please don't try this at home. I am begging you, don't try this at home. The reason why I can get away with it myself is because I spoon mill my powder. So it's a lot less potent than regular black powder. And so by adding these two binders, it allows it to have a little bit more oomph, but only a little bit. So I'm getting the same kind of standard pressures and power that you would normally get out of 1.9 pucked powder. So I want you to remember, folks, that this is so freaking minutia scientific that you're not going to find this stuff in stores anymore. They discontinued it for a reason. Okay. Remington red line powder back in the 90s and 80s was the best so-called black powder substitute you could get other than Black Max. And Black Max is some pretty potent fucking powder. So, sorry, I'm getting attacked by a fucking insect. And he's about to get his ass run the fuck out of here pretty quick. Just for shits and gigglies, so you know. I did not come out here unprepared. I just came out here and just started filming right away because I wanted y'all to actually gather and see what I'm doing here. And I wanted to make sure there's no bears in the area because, you know, the sound of a human being tends to make them kind of hungry. So, no more bears. Thank you. That's why I have a bear tag and a hunting license as well. So anyways, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Mariah. This is my Remington New Model Army in 44 caliber, as is appropriate, with the steel overhead strap, steel top strap, and the 8-inch barrel. This gun is loaded up with my 30 grains of pistol powder and a wadding made up of what I like to call papille le flagre or confetti de conflagre. It same meaning, pretty much. All right, it's a type of just basically it's newspaper that's been nitrated and then been teared into tiny little fucking pieces. Turns into burning confetti. So that's behind a 4.54 round ball. Okay? And this is the 8-inch barrel. Don't worry, Josephine will be making herself known quite soon here. So, as per usual, from the holster, go ahead and toss that out of the way because I don't have real freaking headphones. Real earring protection anymore. Just a good set of headphones. So, I am here at about 3.5 to 5 yards from the target. my standard distance of what would normally be considered a defensive distance. Get this fucking turd to actually goddamn plug my ear so that I don't have a fucking ringing sensation in my ear for the rest of the day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you quick draw. Of course, as per usual, one cylinder and that one did not go off. Pretty fucking normal for this particular cylinder. This is Josephine's other cylinder. So, there you go. And yeah, like I said, big old smoke cloud. It is a black powder substitute. It is not a regular black powder, but it still makes a big old fucking whopping smoke cloud. And this is the same stuff I used to reload my 22 long rifle with, if you didn't know. I'd take and pull the bullets, and I'd go and put this same freaking idea of powder, same ideal powder, into the this casings, and very, very carefully put the bullet back in. Like I said, please don't do anything, and I mean anything, that you see in this video or you hear about me say in this video on your own. It is incredibly dangerous. I do dangerous shit. Okay? Okay. Now, let's move on to 55 grains with my Remington New Model Army with the stonewash frame. You can see it, it's actually a stonewash frame. It looks really cool. I thought this was just like the shit, man. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, that's it right there. That's my girl. That's the one I'm going for. And like I said, this is the Osage Orange. Like I said, I'm emptying my cylinders. This is Osage Orange and balsa black powder with the double binder. So every one of these loads is got a double binder in it. It's sorbitol sourced directly from Listerine and sucrose syrup that I make from sugar and water. That's it. That's literally how this powder is made. Black powder, a shot of Listerine, and fucking sugar syrup. And then I use a little bit of alcohol because my method calls for a little bit of alcohol to be able to pull the water out of the powder itself and to dry quickly. So, again, Osage Orange. This is 50 grains of my red line, or well, my version of red line. I just call it basically black powder because, let's be honest, it mostly is. Okay? But, again, this is a type of powder that I would not suggest you make at home because the way that this is made, if you puck it the way that normal folks puck their powder and get it really dense and condensed and solid, it is so much more powerful than your gun can handle that you should not do it. Okay? And it's specifically because the sorbitol binder burns better than the carbon does as a fuel source. That's why I use so little of it. Hence the reason for a shot glass of Listerine. There's very little sorbitol in that. You'd be surprised. It actually accounts for less than 2% of the overall powder volume. It's just enough to get it to where when I puck it in that C-clamp, that it's solid as a rock when it dries. And that's the whole idea behind that. I wasn't actually looking to do, to make red line powder, and then all of a sudden I realized, hey, wait, I've actually read this in a patent before. I used to make this shit when I was a kid. Well, lo and behold, it's the same shit. I just blew my mind when I figured it out. Like when I remembered, I mean. Like, hey, this fucking red line powder. Some of the shit that back in the day people would have literally fought in the grocery store over or in the hardware store over. That's serious. Red line was the shit, man. If you could get red line, most guys used to load it for really hot bear cartridge for their 45 Colt. The 45 Schofield. They used to load that powder to make it hot enough to be able to be bear capable. And that's why I made this. Of course, Remington discontinued theirs because it was blowing up guns that weren't made to handle those kinds of pressures. This is a lesser extent, but the same formula. Okay, it's lesser density, but it's the same formula. And in doing so, I'm making a more potent powder. You saw how the 30 grains handled. It wasn't a big kaboom. It was like my normal powder is, just regular kaboom. But it had a lot more oomph to it. I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time with 50 grains of black powder. Headphones warning. I had 2 misfires with that one. One that didn't even fire. Come on. Come on, fucking flinchy bastard, stop it. You really not going to go off? Apparently not. Well, that's 50 grains of the same powder. Now, let's see the biggest difference when we move up from an 8-inch barrel with Mariah to a 12-inch barrel with Josephine. Interesting. I must have blown that cap off. Well, it's all right. Yummy! Yes, sir. Good old-fashioned. Some special oomph da data behind that one. Way more power. Come on, let go. Really? I just lubed this before I fucking shot. Really? Okay. Anyways. Meh. Like I said, it's dirty. That's the norm for red line powder. That's what it would look like. See? Another 50 grainer, regular as normally as red line would be. And then this is the 30 grain, just as dirty as red line would normally be. But again, the type of powder that I'm talking about here is not black powder. It is not your standard black powder. This is much more potent than regular black powder. Please don't do this at home. I don't want you to say, oh, well, Blaine told me I could do this. No. No. I didn't tell you you could do shit. I said stop asking permission, motherfucker. There's a difference. Anyways. I wanted to make sure that my pistols could handle a bear. That was my biggest issue. I wanted to make sure that I had something that could do the job and sling that chunk of lead so fucking fast it would go through just about anything. I don't have to worry about ricochets, nothing. I can go and enjoy myself. And yonder bear is going to have a long, hard fucking haul if he wants to go after me. That's what I wanted. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to empty these other rounds out. I got 130 and 350s I got to get rid of. So I'm going to pull out some extra caps here. My Blackjack number 10 variety. Freshly made. Throw a cap on the cylinder and empty out that fucking thing real quick. Because yeah, that's not cool, man. So this is, I'm gonna shoot another 30 grain through Mariah. All right. And remember, I name my guns, folks. So if you're, not mentally capable, you shouldn't be actually watching this video, but that's neither here nor there. I guess you can do whatever the fuck you goddamn well please. Just please remember, the names of my guns are named such because that's the way I was raised. You name your guns. Your guns are there. Your best friends are going to save your life at some point. They're going to put food on the table. They are literally your best friends. They should be your lovers. That's why you name your gun. Plain and simple. That's why Mariah has this name. Because I love her. See what I mean? Reliable as hell. Not sticky. It's actually a really good working gun. And really good working powder. This is why I like Redline. And I wish Remington would bring it back, because some of these newer, guns, they can handle that pressure. Whereas the older ones that they used to make were made to the old spec, and they weren't, it wasn't made up to modern standards for safety reasons. It was made to old spec for historical reasons. So some of your older reproductions won't handle this powder, and it was blowing up guns, and we understand now what that is. These newer productions have a little bit more wiggle room, so much. So I wish that Remington would bring that back. I wish they'd bring back the red line, because it was one of the, if not the best black powder substitutes on the market. Absolutely sensitive. I mean, absolutely sensitive. Powerful. And volumetrically speaking, measured just about the same as black powder. It's just not as dense, you know, as far as weight is concerned. Which is why I thought that it was, you know, something I wanted to go over with y'all and show y'all that, you know, this kind of substitute back in the day was one of the things that a lot of shooters used. And then they started bad mouthing Remington over the fact that, you know, well, it stinks like shit. And if you're stupid enough to overload your gun, it can blow up older, hear me out, older new model armies and Colt open tops. All right, that's including the Patterson, that's including the Dragoon, that's including the. It used to, supposedly, this hearsay, mind you, because I never had it happen to me. But, you know, Remington discontinued their red line. And so ever since then, couldn't find it in the stores. You know, they used to actually load red line as just kind of a segue here. They used to load red line into their golden bullet. That was one of the reasons why I used to say, you know, they loaded black powder into 22 long rifle, because I used to have some golden bullets that actually had red line in them. And again, I used to also reload 22 long rifle out, you know, take them apart, put them back together, sort of thing, with red line that I made. So again, this is all a situation of, as far as, you know, why they took it off the market, I'm going off of the hearsay and off of what the marketers said. I'm not going off of what I know for fact, because what I know for fact is that it was the best damn black powder substitute that ever was. And better than Black Max. Better than 777 by comparison. Way better than 777. Way better than the freaking Pyrodex that I used to shoot. Fuck that crap. My God, is freaking Pyrodex nasty. I don't like shooting pyro. I like shooting something that's as sensitive as black powder. And that's why I shoot this stuff. That's why I make this stuff. Because as a black powder substitute, it's really not a black powder substitute. You still have to make black powder in order to make it. But as a black powder substitute, it was more sensitive. It had more potential. You know, it was... When it comes down to, could you make a black powder magnum? Red line was the way to go. That was actually what could have done it. Whereas 777, I've watched guys try and do that. Nah, 777 doesn't cut it. If you crush, you know, 50 grains of 777 into a cylinder, maybe you might get somewhere close, but you're not going to get the same velocities as the red line. I'm probably getting the same velocities as you would with 777 if you crushed it into, you know, 55 grains into your black powder revolver. And that takes 1, pour more, 2, pour more, 3, and then seat ball. It's a lot of work to reload a fucking black powder revolver with 55 grains of anything. So, think about that. Yeah, those were a little wet. The hang fire was entirely my fault. I just finished part of that batch of caps last night. You know, while I was sitting there commenting on other folks' videos and stuff, and making, you know, just making my own stuff. I made most of those caps last night. So, you know, I'm going to get a little bit of that long fizzle bang. So just, okay, that's the cap. That's not the powder. All right. Clean off these caps. Then I'm going to have to do a full-on run around and do that because I wanted to test the toilet paper powder as well. And y'all, I know, single source, but Blaine, you said over there on Lame Beaver on Lame Beaver's video that single source is crap, and yeah, it actually is. This is the toilet paper powder is just to kind of prove my point that the sorbitol and sugar is doing something, and doing quite a bit, in fact. That's what it's about. I just want to prove that out. Because yes, the other charcoals that I used, they had pretty similar results to the type of, potential that I'm getting now. But the difference is that, and I could feel it in the recoil. Okay, I could feel it in the recoil of this pistol. The difference between that powder and now is massive amounts of energy. And I mean massive amounts. It's a world apart. So without further ado, let me go ahead and clear this one out, and then I'll load up with that toilet paper powder and get back with you. Don't worry, I'm not going to shoot without you watching, just so we're all clear. Here's another cap for the old girl, and I think that one's might too long in the charge. So what I'm going to do is pull that one to the side. This one here, that one shouldn't be too long in the charge. Should seat. That seats. Okay. $50 grains of that red line powder. Ruger Blackhawk, eat your heart out. Because, yeah, Remington New Model Army from Pieta handled that. Seriously. Wow. Kaboom! All right, I'll be right back with you after I load this up. All right. This is toilet paper powder. And you would not believe how much of a pain in the ass this shit was to fucking actually load. The reason being, it's not the kind of carbon source I like to use. It really isn't, but it's a single source and it was cheap, so I just grabbed it. Anyways, I only loaded one chamber on this cylinder, just as a kind of for instance, so please pay attention. This will only be a one-shot wonder, okay? Of course, because I only loaded one cylinder, there is no lubrication in front of that ball. I didn't deem it necessary. So without further ado, another fucking head portion. All right. That was cute. Did it squib? No, that cleared it. Fuck me, it fucking cleared it. Huh. Show. Um, that wimpy little shit proves to me that not only is toilet paper powder crap, but secondarily, more importantly, with 55 grains of that particular powder, even set up to the point where it's got, you know, sorbitol and sucrose in the actual fixins. And I mean, seriously, same mix. There you go. Same mix. Garbage. I'll stick to my own fucking guns, thank you, and my old school shit. Because last time I checked, the actual freaking proper carbon works better for making this type of powder. And yeah, grungy, tons of fucking potassium nitrate in there, unburnt. Of course, that's more to do with, you know, my milling method than the actual factuals, but I mean, I'm gonna toss some out on my hand just to show y'all. That's pretty bad. I'm not interested in that. Let's just check for, you know, versus another one of the dirty chambers, but loaded with my Osage orange and balsa mixture, which actually is decently powerful and has the sorb and the fucking sucrose and whatnot. There. See? A lot less there than that other stuff. Quite literally. So, yeah. Thank you. I'll stick to what I know. And well, I'm hoping that, you know, folks actually got something out of this and enjoyed what they saw. And, you know, if you enjoyed the video, or you got some useful information out of it, or you just like seeing me goof off with black powder guns, give me a thumbs up or there. Or damn it, I'm gonna come after you with the stick instead of the carrot. I'm joking. I would never do that. I actually would never do that. I'm not a politician. But yeah, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if you're gonna have a good, you know, a proper knock something dead black powder gun that you know, for personal carry, I suggest you get real confident about your gun and get good at using that sucker. And I mean good at using it almost as fast as somebody could utilize a cartridge gun. Okay? I mean, can I do that? Maybe. Not quite as fast as cartridges, per se, but about as reliable. And I will say that. One cap, one cylinder, one charge of the most unagreeable powder that I have. And it still went off. I mean, those two that misfired, one of those was a cap I didn't even freaking fill, because I was dead ass tired and still doing it. So, again, you know, all of this is kind of like, take it with your own grain of salt, but in all reality, the guns I run are not cheap. The powder I run is dirty as fuck, because I want power. I'm not interested in clean. I don't care about clean. I carry this shit in my fucking chest pocket. Okay? I'm not worried about clean. If I was worried about clean, I wouldn't have bought black powder. So for all of those of you who are like, oh, it's not clean though, I don't give a fuck. It's black fucking powder. You're not gonna have clean black powder. Bro. The fuck? But it's not clean enough. It's not like Mr. Jake over at Everything Black Powder. He gets that really clean stuff. Well, unlike Jake, I ain't got a fucking ball mill. And I'm not gonna annoy my neighbors who sleep 30 fucking yards away like all to fucking hell with a ball mill. You might not have a problem with it, but me personally, I don't like pissing my neighbors off. And I'm not interested in blowing myself sky the fuck high either, so there. You know, if you got a problem with it, maybe my powder's not the kind to go for. Mine's just supposed to be quick, easy, and quiet. Deadly enough to knock a damn bear dead with an appropriate charge. That's what my powder's supposed to be. I ain't giving a shite, not one little bit, about whether or not, oh, well, it's gonna do the job, but it's gotta be clean. Or, it's just plinking ammo. I'm just going plinking. No, motherfucker, I might have to shoot a fucking bear with this gun. Straight up. I don't like that idea, but the reality of it is, black powder is not exactly great for hunting when you're hunting large, dangerous animals. So, when it's your only backup for something large and dangerous, you want the most powerful powder possible. You're not going to give a shit whether or not the motherfucker detonates on the second round, because the first one's what does the matter. You know, that's the whole point here. I'm trying to get across to you guys that I do not give a ripe shit about cleanliness in powder. I really fucking don't. This is why I make my powder with Osage orange. And, you know, I make it so that it's fast black powder. That's why it's called fast black powder. Not because it burns fast in open air. That is a parlor trick that pyros use to make themselves look cool. That is not delivering a fucking hunk of lead downrange with enough impetus to go from one side of that bear's head to the other side of that bear's head and clear his thoughts. And that is why I make the powder I do, the way that I do. I'm not interested in tons of power. If I wanted that, I'd make nitro. Straight up, I'd make nitrocellulose and shoot that. If I wanted real power, like beyond what black powder can do. I don't want to blow up my gun. Is it going to? Well, if you overload it, yes, it can. And I'm known for overloading my cylinders. Known for it. 55 grains of actual black powder? Fuck yes, I do that all day. Pack twice, seat bullet once. Every cylinder. That's what makes my powerful ass rounds. That's what makes that 55 grain work That's what actually makes this gun so fucking powerful, is because Josephine has a 12-inch long barrel, all that barrel to burn, and 55 grains in the cylinder. That's what makes her powerful. Now, we've seen basically about what is the kind of power rating that a standard barrel size for an NMA would do. But, as far as I'm concerned, standard barrel size is not enough to knock down a damn bear. And that is why I carry 2 different guns with 2 different barrel lengths. One is to stop people from being pieces of shit and trying to kill me. The other one she's the one that's made to drop big, dangerous animals. Plain and simple. This comes down to physics. Barrel length, powder burn, powder type. I'm making much higher pressures with this powder than normal black powder. I'm not making as high of pressures as nitrocellulose. There is a small margin in between that you can play around in, and that's where I live it. So, like I said, again, if you did like this video, give me a like. If you think that, you might learn something from it, that's great. I don't know, maybe if you watch this fucking far, you should be subscribed at this point. But, as far as it goes, go ahead and share this video out with everybody that's, them black powder aficionados, super special folks and whatnot, that get their jollies off of calling other people out on the internet and saying your powder's garbage. Because guess what? No, it's not. My powder is the shit. Boy. My powder kicks ass, and I love it. This right here, barring the sorbitol, is Jake's suggestion over at Everything Black Powder. The toilet paper. Of course, I used Angel Soft, but whatever. Same difference, pure cellulose. It's been treated, has no extras on it, just freaking toilet paper. It's tissue paper, it's shitter paper. It's been charcoalized and turned into char cloth. I mean, you literally cannot say that that's anything different. It's the same shit. It's literally Cottonelle without the brand name. And if my butt cheeks can tell the difference, that should say something. So, yeah. No. I'm not impressed with it. I don't like toilet paper powder. I think that's garbage. I think single source is also garbage. And I'm not doing single source anymore. All of my powders now are dual source. I have Osage and Black Alder. I have Osage and Balsa. And I have Red Cedar and Balsa. And all 3 of those powders have the binders in them. I mix in the binder as I puck because I want that pucking press to do all of the work of the mill, of everything else, all at once. That's what makes my powder. I don't use a ball mill. I use a spoon and a bowl. mix the ingredients, add a spray bottle of water till it's sandy, sand kind. Then I go sorbitol shot, alcohol, till I get just about a sludge. I don't want a slurry. I don't want a freaking soup. I want a sludge. Something to where if I put that spoon in there, it'll stick in there and stand straight up. That's good powder. So, again, y'all have a good day. Yo, guardsman, now, motherfuckers, and I'm out.